So I'm really excited to share this new conversation that I've had. It's with Janine Zitianellis, and it was just amazing. It was so much fun talking with Janine. She's incredible, such a wonderful human, and I wanted to interview Janine or have a conversation to share publicly because Janine is an incredible healer and she has had an incredible journey herself. And yeah, this conversation, we get into all sorts of things, but we both kind of touch on our healing journeys and the link between that and the spiritual journey, and really how the chronic illness or chronic pain or whatever physical ailment somebody is struggling with on a health level is so intricately part of the spiritual journey, right? It is. We were both sharing how important our illness paths were for the insights that came and the freedom that comes through the spiritual path. So Janine is a very holistic healer, right? What she does, she calls it energetic body healing. And it's incredible because she works on so many different levels. I started working with Janine very recently. I was very curious to explore the energy modality because I've done so much work in all of these different spaces of awareness and awakening. But I know that there's a massive energetic component to this process. So I just felt called to reach out to somebody, and so beautiful how it played out, connecting with Janine, and we did a few sessions together, and I was just struck by the kind of unconditional love and compassion and space that she holds for people's healing to unfold, and the way that she does her work, it's beautiful. I really appreciate the work that she does. And I would highly recommend, if anybody's interested in, if you listen to this conversation, which is a blast, and you're interested in working with Janine, she does work online as well. So wherever you are in the world, you could probably get in contact with her. And yeah, I mean, I highly recommend it. For me, it's like, of all the modalities I've explored, the money I've spent working with Janine has been, for me, it feels like the most well-spent money. So yeah, it's very excited to share this conversation. Very much enjoyed it. And yeah, it's I feel like it's such an important part of everything that I speak about with healing is understanding the energetic side of it, right? Because we're talking here about the interlinking between awakening and health and chronic illness and spirituality and physical pain and all of this. And you have to understand the energetic systems in the body. You don't have to. I mean, I know Angelo DeLudo doesn't really talk so much about the energetics and the chakra systems. So that's more the insight side of it. But I've found starting to work with the chakras and more of the energetic stuff, which I know a lot of people's minds initially will be put off by spiritual terminology. But that I've just found for myself that this work is a big part of the process as well. And working with people who understand these systems like Janine, and I spoke with somebody else recently who does energy work, and it's huge. It's so massive in this whole process, right? If we're looking at physical health and spiritual awakening together, the energetic stuff it can help you so much. That was one of the key things that Janine and I touch on here, is that, and I found that working with Janine, I mean, things have shifted so much for me, but Janine still found things energetically that could be released. And it just had such a big impact in my day-to-day life as things dropped away. So yeah, I hope that you enjoy this conversation, and it's a great one. So yeah, check it out and check out Janine's work. I'll put it in the description if you want to work with her. Highly recommend. All right, cheers. All right, so I'm joined here by Janine, and Janine, maybe we can start off by just what's the work that you do, and then maybe we can get a little bit into your experience with chronic illness and the deeper aspects of that and the spiritual path.
Sure. Okay. So I've ended up doing work. So this was not planned. Working with people that have chronic symptoms where either on the emotional, mental, or physical level, and identifying why that is. So they've done the talk therapy, they've tried the medication, and they're still in some sort of pain, and not always
Mm,
physical, but on a personal level, that's where not where my journey started, but when I started realizing the connection between the mind and body.
yeah.
And so I healed from physical illness, you know, emotionally not in a great place, and also on a mental level. I was just creating all of this angst and pain on
Mm,
all levels. And I was using coping mechanisms for that, unhealthy stuff.
yeah.
And so it was a journey for me to heal all of that, and I got it right
Mm,
without staying on allopathic medication. So I've got nothing against that. It actually really
yes.
helped me to get clarity on what steps to take and opened up my energy because of the pain. You know, when you're in constant pain, you fall
Mm,
into depression. And you're just on survival mode all the time.
mm,
So it really helped me to use what was available, but then weaned myself off. And and so, yeah, I got it right. But it kind of went parallel to what the universe was bringing to me. So, like I said, this wasn't planned. It just kind of it fell into my space, into
right.
my awareness. And I just followed what excited me. Sometimes it
Right.
didn't make sense, or like, how would I find the time or the finances to do that? And it always just worked out so beautifully. So I trusted that process.
Mm,
And so now this is what I try to do for people.
mm,
And and it has developed into a form of healing that I offer.
yeah.
I call it ebb healing, energy body healing. I'm not quite sure how else to describe what I do, but it's the energy body around us and
Right.
then the energy systems within the physical body. Like, where are the traumas, the ancestral healing that needs to be recognized? And then once you identify that, you clear it,
Right.
and then your life force energy comes back, and then your body heals because your body knows how to heal. The
Yeah.
only thing, yeah, the only reason why it doesn't is because there's a block in your life force energy. So I try to help
Mm,
people identify that if they're ready,
mm,
to release that as quickly and easy as possible.
mm,
And then noticing how changes in behavior and thoughts happen quite quickly and without drama, or yeah, you just start choosing very differently. So that's the work I do. I work with the energy body,
yeah.
helping people, yeah, to identify that, and so that they
Yeah.
can thrive, you know. And
Yeah.
when you're thriving, then you have the energy to give more to the
Yeah.
world and co-create in a different way, not out of fear or
Yeah.
yeah. So it's one for all personal experience. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's
Amazing. Yeah.
hmm.
I love because I was speaking with somebody about this yesterday and talking about how the body is a self-healing mechanism. We were talking about a very similar thing that yeah, the body knows how to heal itself, and then it's just what's in the way of allowing that to naturally happen. A completely different way of looking at healing as opposed to like, what are all the things that I need to take to fix what's wrong with me? It's like, yeah, I feel like that is such an important foundation in healing, is to understand that, to come back into like a trust of the body, and then, like you said, then finding, okay, how do we work with this? So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So let's I think there's a lot of places we can take this, but I want to talk a little bit about, yeah, how you a little bit about your past maybe, and then
Yeah, yeah.
we can go from there. Yeah. So like, what what was the things that started to really help you on your healing journey, right? So you mentioned that, um I think you tried like the natural methods and it wasn't really working, or yeah, how did this play out for you, and how did you find your way to the things that did actually work, and what were you struggling with? Yeah.
Well, I've always struggled with Yeah, look, I've had a few traumas in my life, which made me feel like I was a bad person,
Mm.
which wasn't like just not good enough. So
Yeah.
I was diagnosed with social anxiety disorder in my early 20s, but I'd had that since a child. I would just pick up on everybody's energy and then not have the tools to differentiate between mine and theirs. So from
Right.
an early age, I had to numb out
Yeah. I can
because it was
relate to
just
that.
too much. Yeah. And
Yeah.
it's like, why don't I feel like I can connect with anybody? Why does this environment feel so uncomfortable for me? So I
Mm.
started numbing out from an early age. And yeah, I wasn't offered counseling or talk therapy, that kind of thing. So I had to figure it out by myself.
Right.
So yeah, I had the social anxiety as a young kid, spastic colon, biting the nails till they bled. But it was interesting. I did manage though to push through and really excel in like public speaking, which does
Okay.
trigger like, am I good enough? It's very
Mm.
interesting. The
Mm.
Jekyll
Mm.
and Hyde, the opposites that came through. I think my spirit was like, no, you can do this, but it took a
Right.
lot to get through
Right.
that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but in my 20s, I started feeling, no, actually, in my early 30s, started feeling physical pain.
Okay. So I just want to ask, what were you doing with your life at that time? So in your early 20s, and that, what was your kind of career path, or what were you spending your time doing?
So this is another thing, right? So, school, I did not enjoy school. I did the bare minimum just to get through it and move
Yeah.
on. But I wanted to study further, and I did, those tests to see your personality and your character, what would
Yeah.
be the best. And the tests show that I could actually do anything.
Okay.
So, like, thanks for that.
Yeah. Right.
So
It's not
then,
helpful.
and I'm Libran, right? Like, I cannot make decisions. I need to balance everything out. Please tell me what to
Right.
do. I'm so
Right.
tired of like figuring this stuff out. So
Yeah.
that was like, that's just what I have to deal with in life. I have to trust myself that I could make the right choices.
Right.
I decided to choose to do a BSc at varsity, but I didn't do science at school.
Okay.
So it's like, why did I? Anyway, it's like the universe. Okay, you must go on this path and that path.
Yeah.
So I did bridging courses, and I did actually really well because this is what I'm going to do. I wanted to do
Yeah.
occupational therapy and help people.
Okay.
And yeah, so this was in Port Elizabeth. I'm from PE, so I did that, and family stuff. What was happening there, I just couldn't handle what was going on. Yeah, so I left.
Okay.
I came to Cape Town. Also, I'm not quite sure how that all happened. It was perfectly aligned. I got bursaries and this and that, and I came to Cape Town, and I continued studying. But my parents couldn't help support the studying, so I had to do
Right.
jobs and this and that. So then I started seeing and reflecting back on how I was at school. I was very much standing up for people, and maybe it's a Libran thing, trying to find balance, and really triggering me if I
Mm.
felt people weren't being seen and heard from all angles. So I
Mm.
would be like a bit of an advocate for that. So because of the bridging course, when I came to Cape Town, I had a lot more free time at my first year level. So I studied psychology.
Okay.
And so I started, this is actually, I'm really enjoying this. Like the
Mm.
microbiology and the chemistry. I was like, why am I doing this? Am I trying to prove that I can do this, that I'm
Right.
smart enough? So my choices, the motivation was to make myself feel, again, that I'm not stupid. And
Yeah.
yeah, so it was the
Yeah.
wrong choice. But such a blessing because it brought me here and I met certain people. And I think because of that,
So
I've
did you finish that degree,
no,
or?
I couldn't. No, I couldn't
Okay.
manage. It was just too much. The BSc, it was just too much. And again, then it was like, you see, you can't do that either.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I'd
Yeah.
really test myself.
Yeah.
But it comes from that wounding, and it wasn't even like my parents put me on a pedestal. They 7 years tried to get me, and so they put me up there, and trying to live up to that expectation was actually a
Mm.
bit of a backfire. So I can't even say it was them. I think it was
Mm.
definitely past life stuff where
Mm.
it has come up in some regression therapy that I was an advisor. I was somebody that would help people, and I got it wrong in one of my past lives, and people suffered.
Right.
And so in my healing journey, I realized my third eye was closed, or I didn't trust my third eye because I wasn't able to see what was going to come. And so I switched this, I closed my third eye. I was always working on my solar plexus,
Mm.
my first energy center. And this is all the work that I do. I do chakra healing
Yeah.
with people. I realized the wounding in the chakra, the first one, about not trusting I can stand on my own 2 feet and having to prove all the time in a very dysfunctional way that I could.
Yeah.
All of this was happening in my 20s. Like I started healing my chakras without even knowing what a chakra was. I only realized what
Okay.
chakras were in my early 30s, where the pain
That's
hadn't actually,
yeah. That's what I
yeah,
wanted
the
to
pain,
ask is when did you get into the spiritual stuff? Yeah.
exactly, that's the thing. So it was in my 20s, but the pain only started in my 30s. So there was a bit of
Okay.
a, let's see what this energy is all about. I thought I was going to a Zumba dance class here on Bree Street, and it
Okay.
ended up being a chakra dance class. I was like, what the heck is this? So like, thank you, universe, for me getting that completely wrong. And
Yeah.
so then I discovered what the chakra system was. And at that stage, I was on SSRIs for the
Okay.
anxiety.
Yeah.
But no, there was still no pain. That was the first 7 years of my journey. Getting off the SSRIs, the serotonin stuff, and
Yeah.
seeing actually working through the chakra system, seeing where the blocks are. I weaned myself off the antidepressants, and then I started feeling again, Kyle. I started actually
Mm.
feeling my emotions because that just blocked everything. And
Yeah.
I had children by then, and I was so upset that I hadn't been able to connect with them deeply that I
Mm.
got very angry.
Right. Okay.
And then I was at that stage working always with HR, with training, trying to help people, recruitment. So it kind of
Okay.
all was a bit of a getting ready to help people on a new level
Right. Yeah.
in my 20s, yeah, and realizing, sure, if I can get off the antidepressants, everybody else can as well.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's okay to feel your emotions and what's actually still there.
Mm.
So I started in my early 20s, and then decided to learn more about that. So studied more into psychology and energy
Okay.
healing and done many courses about that.
Okay.
What is energy? What is the auric field? All of that stuff.
Right.
And I then decided, okay, this has been brought to me. I can help people. I need to study further. So I did a 2 year energy healing course. And within the first month, I was diagnosed with the autoimmune disease.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, so this is what the pain is, because I was quite young then, and it was very unusual for a young person to have rheumatoid arthritis.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
And I was like, hang on, if I'm not wanting to help people and I'm busy eating away at my body,
Mm.
but what an initiation. And thank goodness for this healing course, because it allowed me to learn the tools of
Mm.
grounding, clearing my
Right.
energy,
Yeah.
going more deeply into the energy body. And that also then helped me get to a place of allowance. This has
Yeah.
happened, you've created this
Yeah.
for a reason. And then so I started studying further, like what is the mind-body connection?
Right.
Why have I created this?
Yeah.
And it brought me to a standstill. I had to like change my behaviors, my behavioral patterns, my mental programming. So it's been a journey of reprogramming, clearing out, and coming back to who I am. And I feel that's what healing is. It's not about
Yeah.
trying to fix anything. It's just getting more understanding and then acknowledging, yeah, that is what I went through, with compassion, not making that wrong.
Mm.
So yeah, I mean, it's been a bit of a journey.
Yeah.
But again, I never took that this was going to be chronic. I didn't even tell my medical aid like that I've got a
Yeah.
chronic disease. There was just no ways that I was going to end up in a wheelchair. There's just no
Yeah.
ways this is going to be. That's
Yeah.
just not, you're mad. That's not
Yeah.
what's going to happen.
Yeah. I love that though.
I was just like, no, I've got a healthy and strong immune system. And like, I seriously didn't, but like, I have a healthy and strong immune system. And so that's when I started studying about neuroplasticity. And that's all the
Mm.
courses that I've done have helped me to do all of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I loved what you said about healing because that's what I try to share with people a lot as well. Because it was the same thing. Like I learned all of that myself as well. Like chronically ill, super young, and it's just like, okay, I got to sort this out because yeah, it's like that desire though to know that this is not it. It's just like a step on the path is so yeah, it's so key. But what you said about healing being about allowing with compassion, I think that's like such an important another like foundation for healing is to realize that whatever it is that's blocking like the natural healing in the body, like even that is something that just probably needs to be seen and held in a way that it hasn't been before, like some past trauma or yeah, or some thought system. Because like what happened for me was I also got very much into the neuroplasticity work, and that was so helpful for me. But then I was lacking a little bit. I needed to do a lot of work around compassion and allowance to see that even the parts of myself that I was trying to fix actually just needed some like unconditional love. And yeah, and then it's so natural, the healing process, right? It's like
Right? It's like I could see my wounded young self. Like, I'm like,
yeah.
why do you still not have the confidence? Why can't you get over this? I was making her so wrong in what she had to
Mm,
deal with that there
mm,
was like, and one of my teachers said, you know what, she might always feel like that, and that's okay. Will you just love her anyway and hold her? Tell her
mm,
that she's safe. And I would visualize, and I've got a little one of those statues that are carved out of the willow of me holding my inner child, like this is okay. And when I did that, I was like, where I am right now, nothing needs to change. Everything has happened
yeah.
for you to be here.
Yeah.
What I've been able to create and has allowed me then to move forward and help other people.
Yeah.
So the
Yeah.
gratitude for going through and just getting to this place was huge because I realized I didn't love myself
Mm, mm.
at all. For me to say I love myself, I felt like this, and I didn't even know where that came from. Like, what is that?
Yeah.
Like it's okay. But then the time where you say it and you really feel it and believe it,
Yeah. Yeah.
like it's okay. Something opens up and shifts energetically. It's like
Yeah.
there's expansiveness, and you are able to tap into more possibilities and opportunities. And
Yeah.
that's when you start getting the downloads, the
Mm,
insights. You start connecting to the unseen world that's there to support you.
mm. Yeah.
Me connecting to my infinite being, that part of me that's watching, observing without any judgments or any expectations,
Yeah.
it was like, this feels so calm and peaceful, even though I was in pain. And look, I had to continue studying
Yeah.
to become a healer and manage my pain in that process. And I realized I can actually do both. I
Yeah.
didn't have to be healed completely before I could offer this to other people. That was quite a
Mm.
wonderful thing because I didn't have to be perfect. For
Yeah.
me, it was
Right.
I have to
Yeah.
be perfect before I can go ahead and no. When you're working through it, you're embodying it.
Yeah.
You are being really true and authentic in that, and I think people can feel that in your energy and your vibration, and then they connect with you and they trust you.
Mm. Yeah.
And if
Yeah.
they can trust you, they are then open to look at their stuff.
Yeah. That's so true. I mean, that's what I could feel just working with you, the sessions that we did. I was like just such a trust because I could feel the space that you're working from. It's so authentic. It just feels like
That's good.
unconditional love, really. Like, yeah,
There's
it's
no judgment,
yeah, exactly.
nothing. And
Exactly.
that's so wonderful. Like you can do and say what you need to and know that you are
Mm,
safe because you're
yeah.
here. You're here.
Yeah.
You've created the time and energy to start looking
Yeah.
at what may need to change. Change,
Yeah.
yes. Nothing needs to
Yeah.
be fixed. You're not broken.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
You've had experiences that have been really, in your perception, really difficult. And that's the other
Mm,
interesting thing. Like your perception of your trauma, if
mm,
you can change your perception of what's happened and see the blessing and what it's actually brought. And the whole cliche, everything happens for a reason, it kind of
mm.
absolutely, but you also don't want to like bypass
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what? That's still really getting to me. I still get frustrated and irritated when my boundaries are crossed, when I have to prove that I'm doing this right. It
Mm,
might be with me for the rest of my life, but I'm conscious and
mm,
aware of it, and I'm not going to choose to take an action from that wound anymore. I see
mm.
her coming up. I'm like, I love you anyway. It's okay. I've got this. Me
Yeah,
and my team, we're going to choose from a place of self-love.
yeah, yeah,
And like
yeah,
you said, then it happens quite rapidly. But I do find, and you mentioned, that time where you had to take off and you were alone and you felt
yeah,
isolated. It, your spirit created that time where you had to reflect.
yeah,
If you didn't get
exactly.
sick, if I didn't get sick, where I couldn't drive, I couldn't grate cheese, dude, I couldn't brush
Yeah,
my teeth, I had to
yeah,
ask my husband to help me. It was like my worst. I can do this myself. I'm independent. No, and
yeah,
I started telling people what was going on pain wise, and you got to help me. And it was like, wow, I don't have to
yeah,
do this myself. But there was that I
yeah,
needed to. You can't actually do what you usually do.
yeah,
Multitasking is freaking overrated. Will you stop that to
yeah,
prove again? I'm always trying to
yeah.
prove, defend something. So illness, the chronic illness that creates that space for you to slow down, I feel that is part of maybe the word awakening. And
Mm,
people have different definitions of what awakening is.
yeah,
I
that's
always
true.
thought
Yeah,
awakening was, oh, the Kundalini energy must come up and I must have
right.
this experience. And I'm like, honestly, I don't know if I've even had that yet. And I've been doing
Yeah,
this for like 15 years.
yeah,
But whatever, this is my journey.
exactly.
I'm
Yeah,
not going to
yeah.
make it wrong that I didn't, or maybe I have, but I wouldn't use the words to say that.
Well, that's the thing.
Your
Yeah,
journey is yours. This is such an internal process
yeah, yeah.
that don't compare yourself to other people and
Mm,
what they've done and how quickly or how long it's taken.
yeah,
So when you can get to that place, I think that's when your body and the cells of your body also listen like, oh, okay, I can relax and calm. I can let
mm,
go of what doesn't serve me because I think we did some tapping with you, like when we were working on a physical level, because your
yeah,
physical body moves on to the trauma. So, yes, you work on the cognitive level,
yeah.
you work on the repressed emotions, but your physical body in this lifetime and is holding on to that.
Mm, yeah,
And it needs time to be acknowledged. And with rheumatoid arthritis, that specifically, like eating away at healthy cells, it was like I have not respected my body or have a relationship with my body. And
mm,
if I didn't have my body, I couldn't do anything.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Exactly.
So
Yeah,
were you able to also like, wow, hi, how you
yeah,
doing? Like,
yeah,
I
yeah. It was
forgot that you were there.
for me. It was so much coming out of. Wait, I just want to see my camera is looking. Why is there this black thing on the side? Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Oh
You're
well, it's
looking
fine.
fine. Looking
Okay.
good for me. Yeah, yeah.
Let's carry on then. Wait, now I've messed it up. I shouldn't have done anything. Oh well. I'm sure the recording will be. Wait, I'm seeing way too much of myself now. Uh,
Ooh, what does that mean?
Carl, look, watch yourself while you're talking. Oh well, whatever. Now we're stuck
No,
with
I'm
you
seeing
there.
there's
So.
more of you. There's more available for me to see.
Okay, but what you were saying about the body, that's yeah, for me,
Relationship to the body.
yeah, it was yeah, coming back into a trust of the body from the mind that had learned to kind of doubt the body so much and feel like yeah, the it felt this here's the thing when so yeah, also maybe about the awakening. One of the definitions that I really like is like for me a shift in identity from like this small individual suffering self to this more like universal identity, of seeing that, oh, okay, there's not separation in the mind in the way that the mind thought that there was between the me who's on this path and the path itself. It's like it's all the same unfolding. So
Yes.
that's one of the ways I like to talk about it. But I do agree that it's so much like it doesn't really matter in the end, but it is nice to talk about it as well, so people, because everybody uses the term awakening, but maybe one person's like, what's this, what's that? So
But I mean,
um
awakening is becoming awake to what's true.
yeah, exactly, seeing clearly what things actually are, you know. Yeah.
And I mean, I used to question from an early age, like I had to go to confirmation, like at church.
Okay.
And I would ask these questions and they couldn't answer them. I'm like, well, what is life about? And it's like they couldn't answer. I'm like, well, okay, so cheers. And you know what? I became an atheist. Became
Yeah.
an atheist for a while. So like
Yeah, same.
nothing. Life is tough. My parents can't help me. I'm like suffering here. Why are we blah blah blah? You know that whole story. And
Yeah.
so for me, my awakening was also realizing there is a higher power
Yeah.
that is out there, and to find a relationship again with that, but then
Mm,
also realizing the divinity in me is here. So for me, the
yeah.
awakening was wow, I'm
Yeah.
super special
Yeah.
because I didn't feel special. I didn't want to take up space here. I had to always
Mm,
prove that I was enough to take up some space on earth. And for me, the awakening was you so deserve to be here. We
yeah.
need you to be, we need you to be here with your unique gifts, the way you are intended to be. And for me, that was where the solar plexus healing was. Like I don't have to try. Being me,
Mm,
my unique way truly is enough.
mm, mm.
And for me, that relaxed my central nervous system down, the anxiety, just, I didn't have to do that anymore. So for me, the awakening
Yeah.
was coming back to myself
Yes,
and
yes, yeah.
remembering that. Yeah. So that's how I
Yeah.
would define awakening, I suppose.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that though, because it's the same thing with me with like the from religion at a young age to atheism, and that's like such
Oh,
a
really? Yeah.
yeah, like such a I feel for me what I can feel it was like it was that traumatized part of the self almost throwing a tantrum like against the world, like, you know, oh, why am I suffering so much, you know, there's I think it was all for me. It was all part of the how the process had to unfold. It was like you had to let go of the old belief system, and then there was like no belief system, and then that made space for this kind of yeah, just like as you said, the higher power that's driving this whole process. But what I loved about how you said it is that's not like that, because that's the thing with religion, right? Is we like put it out as something like out there, and then there's so much dogma and belief and stuff. But it's like realizing that that's what's flowing through you, right? Like that is, yeah, that's coming through you, and it's like, yeah, it's such a, yeah, it's so different, I guess, from even from that atheist perspective of like, yeah, the because yeah, this is maybe linking back to what you were saying earlier, that like kind of cliche feeling of like everything is happening for a reason just as it needs to, and it's like it can be used for bypassing, but it really does just start to feel like that, right? That like everything is like falling into place exactly as it needs to. Even the feeling of like bypassing something then reveals for me like what we were still afraid to see in ourselves or something like that, you
Yeah.
know.
I just don't like it when people use that as an excuse not to take inspired action and
Right.
know, because some people will then they lose their sense of power that they can actually create the reality they want. So it's a
Yeah,
fine line
yeah.
between,
It's true.
obviously
Yeah.
things happen for a reason,
Yeah.
but so I've created the CFS, or I've created the RA
Yeah.
on a spiritual level to evolve. So if I've created that and it's happened absolutely for a reason, because I've never actually been this healthy on all levels. But there also comes a time where people will be like, well, this is just the way it is, and I'm gonna sit back and wait.
Yeah. That's such an important point
Sit
that
and wait. Yes. And again, is that fine line, yes, you wait and you're in this space. But then at a point in my journey, I think I was actually creating pain to
mm,
prove that I was on the healing path.
right.
How, I mean, like, really? So, and then I was like,
We do
wow,
that.
what's
Yeah.
that about?
Yeah.
I need to prove that I am doing this healing journey right. So then I was
Yeah.
like, no, again, I don't have to be in pain to prove that I am on some sort of awakening. So that was
Yeah.
quite interesting, a little blip in
Yeah.
my.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's a continuous, like, why am I feeling this pain right now? When I feel the pain,
Mm,
my
mm,
body, and I still get the aches and pains every now and again now even. And
mm,
it's been about 10 years, or I was pain free for about 3 years, and then it came back.
Okay.
And so now when I get an ache and a pain, I look back and I'm like, what just happened? What thought process was happening? And I've identified that a boundary has been crossed or needs to be reestablished with myself,
Yeah. Yeah.
or I have to look at where I'm judging myself. So I'm using my body as a message, like the
Yeah.
pain as the message, and
Yeah.
just be in it and not bypass it. So yeah, it's happening for a reason, but what can I do to change this?
Yeah.
I want to take some inspired action. Where do I want to choose from?
Yeah.
So that's what I mean about, yeah,
I
things
think
happen for a reason. And
I think that's such an important point though, because I see that so much online as well. Is like, yeah, it's finding that balance between the two, because we can avoid, like you said, trusting our intuition, and yeah, we can really get stuck. Like I noticed this in myself on my own path as well, was like when it was just like waiting for life to do everything, because it was like there was a surrender phase, which was important to let my ego go, was like,
very,
okay, I'm not in control of this at all, this whole process. But then, like you said, that's inspired action is so important, because then I went into bypassing, right? Then I was like, oh,
yeah,
okay, because what was that about, right? It was like, what are the things I'm going to have to face when I put myself out there now, right? It's just bypassing, because it's like, no, it's the ego is always looking for safety, right? It's like, oh, okay, I'm going to be safe if I can kind of create the stable, like it just wants to find a resting place always, of like, okay,
yes.
now I'm here. Whereas it's like, no, it doesn't stop here. It's like,
No,
yeah, you just got to
it's that
keep going.
illusion. Yeah. And
Yeah.
as I was saying before we started our conversation, that I've noticed in reflection, when you asked me to come today, I was like, oh, I haven't
Yeah.
actually looked back at my path for a while. And I've noticed a 7 year cycle.
Yeah. Yeah.
So in the last couple of weeks, I've noticed, I know only by the pain that's come up, something is going to have an opportunity to be addressed. And I'm
Right.
going to get it deeper, whatever. I'm still trying to figure it out. So
Right.
yeah, I can't control that 7 year cycle,
Yeah.
but I
Yeah.
can control how I'm going to embrace it or resist it, or
Yeah.
that's what I can control.
Yeah.
With my choice on how I'm going to perceive all of this. Am I going to go back into the
Yeah.
victim mode,
Yeah.
or yeah? So
Yeah.
this
And
is
that,
that's what life is. This is the journey, right?
right. Yeah. Yeah. And like that, the victim thing, like that is so key, like that, because I see people like struggle with this a lot, but it's so important to, like you said, to start to realize that you've been creating everything that you need to happen to help yourself transform and heal and level up, basically, it's
That's it.
like,
I like, yeah, level
yeah,
up. Yeah.
exactly. Like that's for me, that it's so clear. Like whenever there's something intense happening in the nervous system, it's like increasing your capacity of what you can be with, what you can take on, and it's like those leveling up periods are going to be intense.
And can I just say, I've been plateauing, I've been cruising, hey,
Yeah,
for like the last two, cruising, everything's lacquer. But how much growth has actually happened? You know
yeah,
what was just brought into me now? Ha! I've been cruising and I haven't actually been evolving.
right.
And it's obviously I have the capacity to level up now.
Yeah, yeah,
I've been
exactly.
able to experience life in a different way. And now I have more knowing, more wisdom. I'm trusting myself more, loving myself more. So, yes,
Mm,
my spirit knows, Creator knows, okay, Janine is ready for
mm,
the
yeah,
next thing. So
yeah,
instead of like, oh God, it's like, oh, this is so exciting. I don't know
yeah,
what's going to happen. I don't need to control this. Just how am I responding? How am I
yeah,
responding? What can I look at changing?
yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah,
that's what's going to be happening with me now.
yeah.
Because you know what's so
Amazing.
interesting? What do you think about this? I'm not sure if I mentioned this before. So
Okay.
because I healed from, and I say this because I don't know what to say, because the rheumatoid is there, but
Right.
it's not debilitating, it's not affecting me in a bad way. Because I got that right, I wanted to, my friends have been saying, please write about this, because there are people that are suffering. They don't realize that there is a way out and a
Yeah.
natural way out.
Yeah.
So I've been sitting with this book in my body for a while.
Yeah.
And the solar plexus and the ego was like, but if you write about this, then you know what is it? How's it going to be received? What are people going to think? So I had the ego was like protecting. I'm like, you know
Yeah.
what? In January, it was like I broadcasted to like a group of beautiful women, powerful women on their journey. I said, I'm doing this. We
Yeah.
were all so excited. I even pulled a tarot card that was like, yeah, this is the time. Da, 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 da. And then the pain came back,
Right.
like
Right.
full force. I'm like, well, what does that mean? Am I not ready to write about it?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think if I can write from a really authentic way, like even in the book, shit,
Yeah.
the pain is back. So
Yeah.
what?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Pain's
Exactly.
back. That's
Yeah.
being authentic and vulnerable.
Yeah.
Like, but excited, like, what does this mean? I think that's what you can't control. You think you are, but that divine
Mm.
plan, you don't know.
Yeah. Right. You just don't know. But
You
yeah,
you
that
don't
like
know.
that willingness to like just take that step in any case, I think
I'm
that
going to
like,
do it anyway because
yeah.
this is absolutely me strengthening my solar plexus. I'm going to do it
Mm.
anyway
Yeah. I
because if
love that.
you have that strength and knowing, nothing can stop you from creating the life and thriving.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Exactly. And
mm,
I was speaking with a friend recently who's a really amazing guy, and he always points back that you are a permission slip for everybody else. The brighter that you are willing to shine your light, like that's the way that everybody else comes into their own kind of light. And that's the thing with sharing the story from an authentic and vulnerable place is it's like it's yeah, the ego will have all the reasons why, like, this is this problem and that, but it is like I found that with myself, the more authentically and genuinely I talk online about all of the different aspects of this, it's just it's crazy the effect that we have on each other, right? The way it's like, and it's the same like this guy, the effect that he had on me is his name's Matt Garrett, and he just started stepping more and more into his light and talking about not staying small. And then I was like, oh wait, I can do the same thing. And it's like it's so
yeah,
powerful how that when we step more into our own, it's like an invitation for
yes.
everybody else. Yeah.
Yeah, those, I mean, I don't post, but when, but when I have felt compelled to, and I do it in the moment without
Yeah.
trying to change it in a way that I want to make sure the world receives it in a certain way. If I'm just raw,
Yeah.
the response
Yeah.
is just beautiful. I didn't even have to try. So it's
Yeah.
having the courage to do that more and more and just
Yeah.
be like, because
Yeah.
people are craving that, especially now.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I'm trying to tell people, I had a client yesterday who's also, I'm like, just have some fun with this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she was like, okay. And something penny dropped. We did some psyche, we did some
Yeah.
clearing. And yesterday afternoon, she was like, oh my gosh, da, la, la, la. I'm like, yes, this is you
Yeah.
being you. You don't have
Yeah.
to
Exactly.
try so hard.
Yeah.
Anyway, we
Yeah.
divert, but yeah.
Yeah, no, but I love that, right? Because it's like
So,
when it's like raw and fun, like
yeah,
that's what's key. Because you don't like I've noticed this with the mind all the time, is it keeps on wanting to slip back into what I should be doing, right? And
yeah,
then it's always a reminder of you don't actually have to do anything that you don't want to do. And the more that you just do what you authentically want to do and you're really actually having fun doing it, the more impactful it is on everybody else. It's not like,
yeah.
oh, okay, like because for me it's like the mind slips into all these identities all the time, and it's like, oh, okay,
Yes, I
this
think
is who
that's
I
the
am.
thing.
Yeah, exactly. It's like
Yeah.
it finds its thing. It's like, oh, okay, now I'm this, and it's like, no,
There's
you're not.
some,
This is just transitory. Right?
yes.
This is you are in this moment, but the mind wants to turn it into something concrete when it's
Yeah,
not actually. Yeah.
yeah. So it's practicing non-attachment.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, and this addiction to control and outcomes. And I mean, that's so boring, man. And I think I was just so bored in life because I had to control and know everything that was going to
Yeah.
happen. And I was like so unfulfilled. And I'm like, now I really try my hardest not to.
Yeah.
And then life is like full of surprises and there's
Right.
deep connection and there's like things look different. And yeah, and that brings the beauty into your life.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I love how you said it with the boringness. Like it's just everything becomes so much more exciting and adventurous when you're just living in like spontaneity as well. This is what I was feeling recently, is like when you
In
no
the
longer have a
moment.
need for outcomes and expectations and how things need to go. You can just kind of live in this more spontaneous, knowing that, again, this friend of mine was saying, like, the ground is appearing beneath your feet as you take the steps, but you have to take the steps. And it's like, but it's so exciting, right? Otherwise it's boring. Like,
Yes,
yeah,
yes, yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. So
Yes.
what
Yes.
what's um yeah, let me just think of how we can, what would you say for people that, like, what is some of the big things they can look for in themselves to help them find their more kind of authentic path? Things that if they're feeling very stuck, because this is the people that I work with a lot, the people that watch my channels, it's often they're feeling very stuck. And then uh so it's cool it's inspirational to hear people speaking from the other perspective, but it's like how to get there. Yeah, do you have anything that you could share for somebody that's where to start looking, or something like that? I don't know, is there anything coming up?
So when you say where can people start looking, are you meaning looking at, so obviously the symptom is they are feeling that they're either, well, that stuckness is usually, they don't feel like they're contributing in a way, or they don't feel like they are connecting, or change isn't
Mm,
happening. Things that they
yeah.
dreamt of aren't coming to them. That's usually the
Mm,
stuckness. Like, this is not what I thought it was supposed to be. What am I doing wrong? So my question would be, are you doing what you're meant to do on a
mm,
spiritual level? Like,
mm,
questioning what is your motivation for having that relationship?
mm,
The stuckness is usually not expressing your needs
mm, yeah,
in a relationship, for example. It can mean a few different things, the
yeah,
stuckness. So look at what are your boundaries? Do you have very hard boundaries where you're trying to protect yourself?
yeah, yeah,
Or do you have very soft boundaries where people walk all over you and you don't get your needs met? Then I would start looking at, this is sacral chakra healing.
yeah, yeah,
Looking at honoring yourself in your relationships, but always asking my motivation, why do I have this person in my life? And the sacral chakra is all around self gratification, really experiencing pleasures in life, using your senses to express all of you. And it's also a place where you allow the world to come in.
mm, mm,
And so when we admit to ourselves, I've got that person, I've chosen to have that partner in my life because I know that he or she or they or them can bring something into my life. It's not being selfish or manipulative. You be honest. I see this in you. And
mm,
I know if we do this together, we're going to have beautiful experiences together.
mm,
If you're having that, yeah, so am I choosing this person to save me, to rescue me?
right,
Are they trying to fill, do I need them or do I want them? So that's one question you can ask. What is my motivation for
yeah,
the choices that I'm having? Is it coming from fear? So it's really to look at your
yeah,
environment and your relationships and be
mm,
open and honest. Yeah, actually, I have this person in my life because I don't feel that I can do it without them. Then you need to start looking at that on a conscious level and
yeah,
start looking within you, what is it about myself that I feel that I can't do this myself or choose for me or actually even express this is not working for me or things need to change.
yeah, yeah.
So that's around the sacral chakra.
I,
Um,
I like, yeah, the fear. I think the fear thing is key, right? I get questions like this from people, and it's I can just tell it's often coming from fear. It's like, I don't know what to, it's a stuck feeling, right? I don't know what to do. Like, do, like, it goes back to what we were saying earlier, is that you have to be in your own path. They'll be like, how did you know when to let go of your job? Or how did you know when to let go of your relationship? And it's like, yeah, are you like seeing that what is the motivation behind this? Is it a fear of,
yeah.
because a part of you will always know, right? That's what's so key. Like, I remember this at every part of my journey. There was always my, like, truest authentic intuition knew that I had to make a change to grow, but the fear was just too loud. That's where I
Yes.
was living from. So I think, yeah, getting honest with yourself. And
Yeah.
I feel like that's the
Yeah.
questions people need to ask is like, okay, is there
Yes.
anything that I know that a part of me knows that I need to change? And what's stopping me from doing that? And
That's the
then,
right question. What is
yeah,
stopping me? What am I avoiding
yeah, yeah,
or resisting? And I would then suggest going for it, doing it.
mm,
Whatever you're avoiding, because if you're feeling stuck, that
yeah,
really is a place of hopelessness. You know, you fall into depression. So that's really quite low. So, and I think that's why the energy healing helps to kind of strengthen those energy healing centers to allow you to actually approach that challenge.
yeah, yeah,
So if it's just something that's coming, so if you've got a block on a spiritual level, which I've realized what was mine was ancestral stuff. I was carrying ancestral negative patterns of behavior.
yeah,
Um, I had to clear those so that the chakras that are there for me to tap into in order to approach the stuckness or the disease or the dis-ease, I found it quite challenging because it was stuck in the energy field. So I cleared
mm,
that. So the energy healing is around strengthening these energy centers so that you can face it with confidence of what you're trying to avoid and resist. And sometimes
right,
it's too
right,
much for people because their energy centers have collapsed. There's no energy actually running through it.
yeah,
So
yeah,
that's why Reiki is also so beautiful. Just clearing,
yeah,
rebalancing. You then actually activate these energy centers to face what you're trying to avoid. But it
right,
is to get to a point of like admitting that you're an addict. You have to admit it first before you're going to find
yeah, that's true,
reason for change. So you have to
yeah,
be very open with yourself.
yeah,
Sure, I've done this because I am in fear or feel that I'm not good enough or I'm weak, blah, blah, blah. So that's what you start working. That's what you
mm,
start working with.
yeah,
So it's to be open and authentic with yourself. And meditation is really good for that because you need to
yeah,
create some quiet space to actually, in journaling, so
yeah,
good. Your time to actually get into what's
yeah,
really
yeah,
going on. So when you
yeah,
see it, okay, so it's around, I think I would say you have to create some time and space for yourself. You don't have to get to
mm,
the chronic illness phase. We
mm.
had to.
Yeah, yeah, that's the thing. It's like,
It's not necessary.
but for some of us it was because it's like we just wouldn't listen otherwise.
I know, that rebel. I'm sorry. I'm like, don't. You know, and that's my rebel. Like, you will not. And like, like
Yeah,
you are actually, yeah. So we obviously got, beyond, but it
yeah,
can be gentle.
yeah.
And so when
But
people come to us,
there's a lot of people that do watch my content that are in that space as well. So it's like in that
okay.
chronic illness space. So it's like, okay, you
So
found
if you
yourself
can't,
here. Yeah,
so you're
yeah,
feeling so crappy, you know
yeah,
what? What, you have nothing else to lose. It can't get worse.
yeah,
Let's just try and just face what you have been avoiding.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, exactly.
and I mean, I spoke there about relationships, but each chakra has a specific life lesson we need to go through. So,
Right.
like the root chakra is all around, the first one is all around being able to stand on your own 2 feet, knowing that you
Mm,
can get your basic needs met.
right.
I didn't feel that I could do that. And I literally couldn't stand on my own 2 feet with the rheumatoid arthritis. I had to
Yeah,
prove to myself that I could most of my life.
yeah,
And so I can't avoid that. Nobody can avoid that. And I remember your root chakra being quite strong and healthy.
yeah,
So what you've had to deal with or accomplish and is claiming that right to be here,
yeah,
that you can get your own needs met regardless of your family safety net. It's all around family.
yeah,
So, I had to work through family stuff. They weren't there to support me. And I was really angry
yeah,
about it. But thank
yeah,
goodness, because I learned to stand on my own 2 feet.
yeah,
So what
yeah,
I'm saying is that stuckness is your spirit saying, okay, where have you lost your basic right with regards to the energy system?
yeah,
Let's claim that back.
yeah, yeah,
And how do we claim that back? Identifying and clearing.
yeah,
And then,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, like you said though, because it's interesting because I've now realized like working with you the power of working with the chakra system. But like you said, for me, that I guess the foundation for that root chakra came from meditation and being able to disidentify from everything that was arising. And it's like you said, creating that space for me to see when resistance was coming up It's like, oh, that's not me. That's just resistance. And that emotion, and also what was huge for me was to see that I could be with the really challenging stuff, like the very difficult stuff, and at the same time be with unconditional love, and like in the same space. But I needed that space created, like cultivating awareness through meditation, to have the ability to not be bound up in everything that arose in the mind as it did, like
Exactly.
resistance coming up and then being the resistance and being like, oh no, this emotion is bad, I need to fix. It's like, oh, that can arise, and that is the pattern of resistance. It's got its own kind of energy signature, like as a feeling.
Yeah.
Like, oh, even resistance has got its role, but I can't just be resistance all the time. And I had to see that. That's like the whole chronic illness is like, that's where I learned how it's like living from resistance, how what a horrible way that is to live, and like I
Yes.
needed to see that. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I love though, because yeah, my path went like that. And then the energy work came in later. But I love, you mentioned it a little bit earlier, in how I guess it really depends on what somebody is open to on like in their mind. But I feel like there is a lot of benefit to working with the fixing the chakra systems, at any point, because like you said, that can then support the other stuff, right? If you can kind of
Absolutely.
feel a blockage here or there, because
Yeah.
like I've noticed that with our work is, even though on one level things felt fine, it was like I can still physically, there's some stuff that needs to be addressed here. And then the clearances that you would do is like, it was incredible the way that
Yeah.
that would then play out like after that. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, because there's a lot more available to us, but when you don't know,
Mm,
you don't go for it.
yeah.
You think, okay, no, this is going really well, and it's like actually can go even better. There's even more
Yeah.
available.
Yeah.
And when
Yeah.
people come
Exactly.
to see me, it's like, okay, they're ready for more.
Yeah.
And it's also it's just be aware of what is not allowing the energy to flow optimally. You
Mm,
can still function. I mean, people function in the lowest of lows, you still function, but are they actually living and thriving in that almost that 5D way?
yeah.
Or they're stuck in the 3 and the 4D? Like people can carry on like that their whole lives, but there are
Yeah.
certain people that want to choose, hold on, I know
Yeah.
that there's so much more available. And yeah, the chakra system it's a evolution of the spirit.
Right.
There's so many books that have been written about the times of your life and the ages and how you actually circle back and you go back to the root chakra at a certain age because
Okay.
you need to. And
Yeah.
so that was one of my first areas of focus is around the chakra system and teaching people how
Yeah.
to utilize this energy that we've been given on
Yeah.
how to love and receive and give love and what's stopping you doing that, so for me, chakra healing work, and it's not just clear, it's strengthening them, help you
Mm,
evolve spiritually. It
mm.
moves from the bottom all the way to the top.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I had it's just coming to mind because I actually wanted to speak to you about this. Is
yeah.
I had the most incredible conversation with this lady yesterday. She invited me onto her podcast, and she works with people's like souls. Basically, she like while you're talking, she's feeling into your energy field, and then she's kind of giving you like downloads, basically. So she's like, you can ask me anything, and she's in touch with some kind of like divine wisdom or
Wow.
something, and it was incredible. And one of the things she told me was that I have this like energetic like block around the back of my head, like around my
Hmm.
neck. And I actually wanted to ask you about that. It was so funny how this played out yesterday, right? The thought had just come to my mind like 2 days ago, and I was like, maybe I should ask Janine about that because you understand energy. And then I started having this podcast conversation yesterday, and I hadn't even mentioned anything, and then she was just like, yeah, what's this like thing at the back of your neck, like this blockage, this tightness? And I was like, whoa, what? I just wanted to like address that. So I'm curious.
Mm.
Yeah, do you have any understanding of that? Or
Yeah, well, look, at the back of the neck, there is another chakra. It's called the Alta Major,
okay.
which allows us to connect with the third eye and the crown when they're all open. allows you to express not just your human experience, but you actually get guidance. It's where you are able to create. At the back, if there is a block, there is some fear of what that's going to look like or sound like, whether it's going to be good enough, all of that. So this, all the energy centers at the back, and they're connected. You've got the front one, which is the willingness and the energy we can use to do what we need to do and face the challenges. But if they're blocked at the back, it's from the past. It's stuff that you haven't yet identified and cleared.
Okay.
If it's around the throat chakra, it is around the freedom to connect to more and express, but it's from like divinity.
Yeah.
Being able to express that. So, we can go in and check to see at what level the block is.
Yeah.
But I know so when I've worked with you, I've noticed when you're in that space, there's a lot of movement around your jaw. I don't know if you've ever noticed that.
Not when we're working with the energy. I didn't notice that particularly.
Yes. So there is something happening with you, but it's because the mouth, the jaw, the ears. This is all related to the throat chakra. So there's definitely something that is either feeling stuck or loose or needs to move out.
Yeah, it's interesting. This is actually what she did yesterday as well. So she identified this thing at the back, and then she was like, "Can I go in there energetically?" And I was like, "Cool, let's do that." And then she started saying, "Oh yeah, and there's like stuff happening on the cellular level in your jaws as well." I could actually feel it. Like we were on a Zoom call, and I could feel it. Like while she was saying, "Oh yeah," I was like, I was like mind blown. But that makes sense. And one other thing, because during my like healing journey, one of the things that I found really helpful at one point was doing like lymphatic drainage massage. That's what I thought it was at the time, but I think it was a much more energetic. It was working with energy more, was moving energy like from around the ears, around the face, like working with all of this space, also the back here, and moving that down. And that would be so relieving. Like I would have all of this like clogged up feeling over here, and it would like build up. And then I would do like this slow down and really like very slow kind of touch, moving it down. And it would be such a relief. I would feel like, that was massive.
Yeah. So whether this block happened in this lifetime or previous, or whether you've made some sort of vow not to express certain things, because the throat chakra is very interesting. You can be a very good communicator.
Yeah.
And so you're like, but my throat chakra is open. I communicate really well. Yeah. On certain issues.
Right. But
there are other issues. This closes up really quickly. Out of all the chakras, this is the one that tightens the quickest, like this.
Okay.
And it is usually around not wanting to admit certain things, or
Yeah.
So it's again that vulnerability. And if this is closed, all the energy that you receive in your meditations, the downloads, it all sits up here and it's got nowhere to go.
Right.
So when the throat chakra is open, just energetically now, that information then can move through, and then through the heart center where there's no judgment of what's come down. Then it moves to your solar plexus, that information. So there's an authenticity. What you're thinking and feeling is what you're being in the world. There's a sense of, okay, yes, this is what it is, no judgment. And then you can use that inspiration you get through the solar plexus from that space, not from the human, I've got to get this right, that stuff. So that's the work. That is for me the healing, identifying that. And that's why I think I was led to all these different things that I studied, because it allowed me then to ask the questions to then see what is going on here. Because it's so blinkers.
Yeah.
We don't know.
Yeah.
Where we're not being even more. Like you said earlier, I'm seeing more of myself and not enjoying them. I'm like, no. You laughed at me, but I'm like, actually, no, there is more of you to visually see. So even electronically, like I get messages from everything.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like guidance, like Carl, there's actually
Oh,
even
right, right.
more
Yeah, yeah,
available.
yeah.
There is
Yeah,
actually even more available for you to see and express and feel and all
yeah,
of that.
yeah,
So again, it's not to overanalyze this. This is what's happened. This is affecting me. Does this serve me? No. I'm going to release this now. And
yeah.
you can use breath work, especially around the throat. This you can use breath work, or like deeper breathing, or go for whatever
Mm,
works
mm,
to
mm,
release energetically the
mm.
stuckness. The stuckness.
Yeah,
So yeah, fascia release as well. Massage on the fascia. Your fascia holds onto so much emotion.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So go for those higher frequency
yeah.
modalities of healing on the physical level as well.
Yeah, I love how you said like you can, yeah, receive all of this stuff through meditation and all of that, but if you don't open up down here, it can stay blocked. And that's why I've loved kind of talking with you. And it just feels like another very important piece of the puzzle, was learning to process the energy, because again, so much had
Yeah.
dropped in the mind and like clicked into place. But yeah, that's so key. And I can often feel that it's for me again, like I often don't have I don't have the energetic like framework to put things into words, but I can feel the difference like when I'm meditating and it's all staying up here, and then I can be like, hold on, wait, I'm blocking off something here, like I'm not. And like you said, breath work is so helpful for that, to kind of breathe a little bit deeper and kind of go
Mm.
into the body and then see like,
Mm.
oh, I was staying away from something here, or I can just
Yeah.
feel that difference is like, oh, it's all staying up in the head, or can I almost pull my
Come
attention
down.
down into the body? Or yeah, and
Yes.
it's yeah.
So, I mean, something that you want to maybe look at, or your listeners, around the throat chakra, like one question you can ask yourself is like, do I feel that I have the right to speak and be heard?
Mm, mm,
Some people, the way they were brought up, they weren't allowed to speak, or when they did, they were told that they got that very wrong,
yeah,
or they were told to lie or not say anything. So then this closes, and then you start asking, like, do I do I say what I need to say with, like, in the moment, or do I try to change it and manipulate it again to make sure that it's
mm,
received a certain way? If you're going to manipulate it, it's going to affect this energy center.
yeah,
So it's it's all around really resonating what you're thinking and feeling in the moment. If you can act on that and be that, this energy center will open up, and then you're resonating, and then the energy is going to flow beautifully, and then you resonate with the universe. And
mm,
that they call this the creative centers, because you really create with your vibration, your words, your tone into the world,
yeah,
but from
yeah,
a really raw, authentic point. So, and that's what we were talking about earlier. The more we can just speak and
yeah,
not worry about how people, what are they going to think or do, and like all of that nonsense,
yeah,
we are going to be in our truth, and it's going to really help us on our journeys, and in turn help other people to see
yeah,
that.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think that's huge because yeah, I mean, I know so many of the people that I get a lot of questions around like brain fog, and it's all that, right? Understanding that energetically is so helpful, because that is what a lot of people that resonate with my stuff. It's like this chronic illness, and so much of it is this like, yeah, this kind of stuck up
Yeah,
there.
so
So
you need to look what energy centers are stuck. Is it the throat? Is it the heart? Is it that I'm not grounded enough? Because if you're not
yeah,
grounded and connected to the earth energy, all of that information also just stays in the body. You need to release the excess into Mother Earth.
yeah,
Otherwise, it stays, and then anxiety also is triggered because you're actually not
yeah,
allowing the beautiful toroidal field and all the beautiful energy systems to move
yeah,
through you.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that's
Grounding
why
is
the
yeah.
grounding is super important.
Yeah, and it's so helpful whenever things were like overwhelming, just too much moving through the system, like energetically, and it's just getting way too intense. And like you said, if it stays up in the head, it can really, get quite intense. And then learning, like, I had another teacher who he doesn't talk so much about. I don't think he has training in like the chakra system or anything like that, but he's incredibly wise guy. And yeah, he would just found his way naturally to grounding, where it was like, okay, if there's you know, he's going through his own awakening process and understanding intuitively that energy needed to move through the system. And whenever there's too much energy, it was like find ways to, yeah, it's incredible. Like he never spoke about the chakra system at all, but it's the same process. It was
Yeah,
like
yeah,
move
yeah,
the
yeah.
attention down the body and into the earth, you know, and it's
Yes,
like,
with the
yeah,
intention. That's the thing.
yeah,
I'm going to release
mm,
what's not mine, because we're all energy. We're absorbing so much of other people's stuff. So when
yeah,
you start feeling very different, like, or you start getting anxiety, or even if you get a headache,
yeah,
one of the first questions you ask, like, is this mine?
yeah, yeah,
And if you get a no, it's not. And even if you're not sure, just connect to your body and your energy field and like, okay, I don't think this is mine. I'm going to just return this to sender with love and consciousness attached. Going to
yeah,
return it. And then you can actually, within a very short period of time, your heart stop beating so hard. Or like, oh,
mm,
okay, there's a bit of an opening. My gosh, that wasn't mine. And it's nothing to be fearful of. It's more like we are energy. We're picking up stuff all the time, especially if you
mm,
are light
mm,
work and doing this kind of thing. You're picking up and holding so much energy, and you're holding
yeah,
space for so many people.
yeah,
Clearing energy the way this person did is vital. It's
yeah,
one of the
yeah,
things that we were trained on. You've got to clear your energy through grounding and with that intention visualization and
yeah,
putting yourself in a bubble of protection,
right,
because you don't want to have to pick up somebody else's stuff if it's not for your highest good.
yeah,
So
yeah,
that energy management is really helpful for people. But then you
yeah.
need to first connect and have that relationship with your body and feel when it's
Mm.
off.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I think that's like the first step for a lot of people is to
Yeah.
first get in touch with the body and trust it. Because that's the thing is so many people are stuck in the mind and they are terrified of what the body's telling them. Like this is often where I'm finding people
I
start.
trust my body so much more than my
Yeah,
mind
yeah,
because my
exactly.
mind has been
That's the
so
thing, right?
conditioned,
It's
so conditioned.
like people ask me the question of, you know, can I trust? Same with the emotion. Like, can I trust this feeling? Can I trust this? And but they're putting the trust in the thoughts and feeling like this is what they can't trust, where it's the wrong way around. It's like trust the body, and then the thought is just kind of like an after
Yeah.
effect, you know. It's like coming in, it's the mind's
Mm.
interpretation of it. But yeah, you have to come into the in the physicality. Yeah,
Yeah, and feel it.
yeah,
Just feel
exactly.
it. Feel the vibration
Yeah,
of it all, especially in discomfort. I'm finding people avoid discomfort on all
yeah,
levels,
yeah,
and I think that's one of the other things, especially with the question about stuckness. If you can be open to the discomfort, whether it is physical
mm,
pain or emotional pain, or even the mental pain, if you
mm,
can be open to, I'm going to sit in this, it can
yeah,
move through you. And then the universe, and on like a soul level, like from your soul group, I talk about like we've come down to have certain experiences
yeah,
that we then take back as a new awareness. When you can be open to it all and experience it all, you're not going to have to see that cycle and that pattern again. Oh gosh, I
mm,
keep getting betrayed in my relationships. I've never been betrayed in any of my relationships. Why
mm,
is that? Why do they keep getting betrayed? Because
mm.
there's a fear of betrayal.
Right, right,
As
yeah,
if you are not fearful of betrayal or pain, or you embrace it and you're like, okay, you've got the lesson, you've learned it. It doesn't have to
yeah,
cycle and come back. So
yeah,
that's why it's so.
exactly.
That's why people will ask, is this something you've seen in your life? I ask,
Mm,
has this happened before? My whole
mm.
life. Okay, this is so exciting because now we know what it is and we can change it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Where
exactly.
they're like, oh my God, I'm getting this so wrong. I'm like, no, we've got this now, you know.
Yeah, 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 amazing.
So, so yeah, that's very helpful with regards to, yeah,
Yeah,
just being open to it all, being open to it
discomfort.
all.
Yeah,
Again, not resisting the
exactly. Yeah,
discomfort.
yeah, yeah. You see that's the space I talk from a lot, and it is because that's where people get stuck is like in the discomfort and then trying to seek mentally away from the
Yeah.
discomfort. You know, it's like
No,
and it's resistance. You
no.
know, it's like I shouldn't
So,
feel this, and it's like you said, it's going to keep coming back. You know, until you accept it, right? Until you feel that fear and you
will you
just
feel it? Yes.
yeah, exactly.
Just feel
Yeah,
the pain, connect to the pain. I see you, I acknowledge you, and it starts to dissipate. And it can happen really quickly. Like,
yeah,
okay, so I'm sore right now.
yeah,
It's like I see you, I love you anyway.
yeah, yeah,
That's the
exactly.
word. I'm like, and it literally, because it's all energy,
Mm, mm.
starts to dissipate and clear.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah, for me, the whole physical chronic illness is really exciting because it's an opportunity for you to see, wow, okay, something's going to shift you in such a beautiful way.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And I'm going to get that awareness, yeah, and be an allowance of all of it. It just allows you to be in a place of more balance in your life and like harmony and peace,
Mm,
even if
mm,
shit's hitting the fan. It's like
mm.
I
Yeah.
can, I can manage all of this from a different place.
Yeah. Yeah,
Because
exactly.
you can't avoid all the people in your life and all of their wounds and all of their judgments and expectations.
Mm, mm. Yeah,
Can't avoid.
that's key as well, actually, because it comes up. Uh, yeah, people will it's like it's how we project onto other people that like this is uh this is what's keeping me stuck, right? When it'll be somebody it's this relationship, it's that relationship, and it's like, but yes, but what are you not kind of learning from that? It kind of goes back to what you were saying earlier about boundaries. Like either we're just not being honest about ourselves about what this relationship is doing, but
Or we're too scared to look at what needs to
mm,
change because the assumption is it's going to be so difficult and it's going to affect
mm,
so many people in a negative way that people don't want to make a change.
yeah,
They're
it's
like, if
true.
I change, all of these people in my life are going to be affected. I'm like, yeah, this is what
Yeah,
co-creation is. They've chosen to have you in their life.
right.
But
Yeah.
will you please be open to when they change, it's going to affect you. And if it does trigger you, it means that there's a bit of a wound and something for you to look at. How exciting.
Mm, mm. Yeah, that's so true, right? Yeah, again, the mind just wants to stay in the familiar, right? I heard somebody said this, and
Yeah.
it feels so applicable here, is that we'll choose uh the suffering of the familiar rather than the unknown of like change, right? And
Yeah.
and the mind, like, yeah, and then it becomes attached even to that suffering, where it's kind of like you were saying at the beginning, where eventually we actually start to create our pain because this is now
Because
our identity. Yeah,
that's
it's
my
like,
identity.
yeah.
That's why always a good question to ask with regards maybe to the stuckness and the pain as well. What is my secondary gain here?
Mm, mm,
What am I getting? And this is the honesty. And I had to ask myself, if I'm still in pain, like I said to you before, it means that I'm, on the path of healing. But it also, if I'm in
yeah.
pain, it gives me permission to ask for help. Whereas if
Mm,
I'm healthy and strong, why would I ask for help? I should do this all myself. So if I'm
right.
in pain, I get help from other people where I
Yeah.
didn't feel the courage to say, no, I don't want to do this, or can you please help me? So that was a bit of
Yeah.
my learning. So the
Yeah.
second gains, like what am I really getting? What is the benefit here? And when you can
Yeah.
actually be honest and open, you get that. And it's a bit of an embarrassment, like, okay, I've been doing that. Great. Okay, so
Yeah.
that's happening. How
Yeah.
interesting. Again, and then you go into why is that? Why am I doing that? Where is that coming from? Having the
Yeah.
compassion to what you've just realized. I've been manipulating, but I'm all against manipulating. Apparently not. It's like such a discovering of who you truly are and why you're operating the way you are and loving it anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's where the funny, it's like, oh God, okay, rather than berating yourself. Because we're
Yeah.
all trying our best, man. We're not
Yeah. Yeah.
trying to
Exactly.
be, so
Yeah.
yeah,
I
I
love.
like that question. That was quite a good one for me
Yeah.
to ask.
Yeah. I love what you said there about, because that's so true, right? That it's the reason that pain is there, because it's kind of giving us the space to do what we wouldn't, like, we don't feel that we're able to do, like that kind of, yeah, like for me, that's so clear how that has played out many a times, where it was like the pain, like, because also on this path, like, it became, like you said, more about, okay, I have to handle this all myself. I've got the capacity now to handle everything, but then I had to learn the lessons of how to be vulnerable and get help from other people. And until I was willing to do that, the pain was going to come back. And then it put me in this like intense turmoil where it was like,
Yeah.
whoa, like, what's going on here? And it's like you said, and what's beautiful is that, okay, so you identify the secondary, or like the hidden agenda, right? So it's like, okay,
Yes.
what is this giving me that I don't feel that I can take without it? But then you can realize that you can actually have without the pain, right? So it's like you can identify what is the
Yes.
pain giving me, but now
Yes,
how can I get this without the pain? Like how,
exactly.
yeah, yeah,
Exactly. So if you find like the pain is just not going, you're not getting well after years and years and years, there's definitely like you've got to ask that question and be honest. Because some people will say, why would I want to create this pain?
yeah, yeah.
And they're too scared to admit what's going on. That's also okay.
Mm, mm,
Oh, but it's tough to watch. It's tough
mm.
to watch and observe because you know that you can heal.
Yeah, yeah,
But
exactly.
sometimes people just aren't ready to take that responsibility. But then again, that's where the
Yeah.
learning is. That's where, okay, let's see what that's about. Let's do this from a place of compassion and self-love.
Mm,
And yeah, if they're ready, then they can let that go,
mm,
and live a more fulfilling life. Or, I
mm.
mean, I say that. So when I couldn't walk, right, I would drive and with the, I had the car with could do the ignition, not the ignition. I could change the
Oh, the gears.
speed with my
Oh,
hands. They had
oh,
that,
oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
that thing, okay.
Like,
And
yeah.
I'd see these people jogging and stuff. I'm like, you're so lucky, and I wish I could do that. And
Mm.
that's what I'm fighting for. I'm going to get well so I could jog. So I got well, and I never jogged in my life. I'm like, what is that?
That's so funny. Yeah. It's
It's
like,
like,
yeah, the mind will like continue. Yeah, it was the same for me. Like
so the mind was just, yes, this whole
create this thing,
story,
this
like,
story, right? See, like, yeah, it was the exact same for me. It was like when I was like not authentic with myself, like I
that's
didn't
it.
realize,
Yeah.
yeah, it's so important to come into that honesty of what are you seeking here. And then, but the
Yeah.
thing is, we're telling all these stories to other people. Like I was doing this, I was saying like, yeah, it's so, like this thing has happened to me and I can't exercise and I can't do this and I can't do that.
Yes.
But it's like I
Yes.
wanted this thing to happen to me. Like this happened to me because I needed it. Like I can actually think back where I was feeling like so overwhelmed in life, and like a very background thought at one point was like, "Damn, if only I could get sick." And like, yeah, and
Honestly,
it's exactly
yes.
what I wanted.
Well done.
Yeah,
Like, but it's that honesty and
yeah,
that authenticity that allows you to realize why you're choosing and let that go. And like you
mm,
say, you don't have to have the pain in order to create something different in your life
yeah,
if you want it.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's powerful, this. It's so
Yeah.
powerful, this chronic illness.
It is.
Uh,
It's crazy. Um, but yeah,
yeah.
I think what's stopping you? Must just tell me how you're doing for time. Have you still got time?
Yeah, probably like another 5 minutes or so. Yeah,
Okay,
if
cool.
that's
Just then
okay.
hundreds. Just let me know whenever we need to wind down. Yeah. Yeah. I just think this is what I see stopping a lot of people is that you have to be so willing to see all the parts of yourself because but like you said, I think this is helpful is like talking about this because to invite people to realize that you can see that part of yourself and it doesn't mean you're fucked up, like that's the fear, right? Is like I have to keep this hidden from myself
But
because
we are all effed up.
yeah, exactly.
Different level.
Exactly, and then you have to like realize the
That's
relief
okay.
in that, like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, we are.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
Um, and yeah, like when you see that for me, like the pressure is just off. Like, yeah, okay, this is how I am
Mm,
in this moment.
mm,
In this moment, that's how I am.
yeah,
But like in the next moment, I don't have to choose to be like that.
yeah, yeah,
So it's really around pulling yourself out of the heaviness and the darkness and just like, oh, okay, wow,
mm,
that was interesting to go in there. That's what that is. It's the pain, it's such the
mm,
wounding. And yeah, that's part of me, but I'm
yeah,
so much
exactly,
more. I can
exactly.
witness that and just smile and be like, wow, yeah, that's what you chose to experience. But do you know what's actually what you can do? And then you have to sit and think, what do I actually want to create?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah,
If you don't have the definitions and the roles, where I'm just a being having this human experience, how do I want to have the human experience?
mm, yeah,
What can
exactly.
bring this enthusiasm and excitement? How can I have joy in my life?
Yeah, yeah,
And yeah, so it can be like the macro is like, yeah, the bigger, but the
mm,
small. the combination, and I
Mm.
think that this conversation's kind of been all over the place because
Yeah.
there isn't, but this is what life is. There
Yeah,
isn't a
exactly.
look, there
Yeah.
isn't like a recipe for this because what
Yeah.
works for me is not going to work for somebody else. But it's to
Yeah.
know that anything is possible for you to tap
Exactly.
into
Yeah.
to create health in your life on all levels.
Mm.
And I mean, I was supposed to, I mean, I was not written off, but there wasn't hope for me. I'm like, but look where I
Mm.
am now. And
Mm.
people buy into that whole nocebo effect or the placebo effect. Like it's all
Mm.
in the mind, guys. And if
Yeah.
you can recognize that and you keep working with people to say you are more than the mind and you
Mm.
actually have power over your thoughts,
Yeah.
and your thoughts is what's creating your reality, and your belief systems is what's creating your reality, not
Yeah.
the other way around.
Exactly. It's all you got to get clear on what beliefs are currently in your reality and
Yeah.
what and then look at your reality and see how that's that's playing out, right?
Well, you can look at your reality and you can see what your belief
Yeah,
systems are.
exactly, right. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you're finding that you are in a place that you feel stuck or um, anxious or you have pain, things aren't going the way you thought, look at your perceptions, your fixed points of view, and your beliefs honestly, because that is
Mm.
what's
Mm.
creating this. It's also, yeah, the patterns that you think of behavior that your family has, then identify, does this pattern of behavior, my belief that the world is a difficult and hard place, is that
Mm.
serving you? Do you want to let that go? And that's where you start. You have the power
Mm.
to change your beliefs,
Yeah.
um, if you want to. And then you'll see how life just naturally changes because your vibration changes every time you let go of a limiting belief.
Mm.
Every
Yeah.
time you let go of a trapped emotion that's been sitting there for years and hasn't been acknowledged, when you release that, you're shifting your vibration.
Mm.
When you speak about this authentically, you're going to resonate. Your energy's changed, and then the world matches that energy
Yeah.
naturally. And
Yeah.
then people will start coming into your life like,
Yeah.
wow, this is like you're not even. So
Yeah,
the
yeah,
work is
yeah,
to
yeah.
identify all of that, but then it's
Mm.
easy. Then it just moves and flows
Yeah,
beautifully.
exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I like how you said like the release is so like you can't just let it go, right? The mind thinks it has to be so complicated and stuff. But once you see what's not serving
You
you, you can let
just
it go.
choose.
Yeah.
It's and sometimes it's so easy that it's like no, surely, no, like actually, it really can be that because, yeah,
Mm.
I'm going to go back to everything is energy, everything.
Mm.
Your thoughts, your
Mm.
emotions, your
Mm.
body, life is energy. And yeah, you're part of that and you have permission
Mm.
to manage your energy the way you want to.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah, that's for your highest good. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, we're beings of love and light, man. So yeah, it's your choice what you would like to do with all of that.
Yeah. Amazing. Oh my gosh, this has been so much fun.
It has been. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I wanted to ask
Oh, I
then
love
maybe
that. Hmm.
for any people that do you work with people online at all?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, cool. Then I will yeah, and if anybody wants to work with you, I'll put your stuff in the
Okay,
description.
stunning.
And
Okay.
because yeah, this is still part of it. I'm gonna say Janine's amazing, guys. Like definitely I give
Sweet. Thank
it
you.
a 10 out of 10
Thank you.
recommendation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay.
um
No, stunning. Thank you.
yeah,
I've really enjoyed this. It's really, yeah, I really enjoyed this.
yeah,
I've
no.
gotten some downloads as well for my own personal journey. So thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah,
You're
same.
doing
That
great work, Kyle. Awesome.
oh, thank you, Janine. Yeah, you've helped me a lot as
Finally.
well. And that's what's so these conversations are so cool because like what comes out of it is, just the way that the downloads that come out of it is incredible. Yeah. All right.
Stunning.
Thank you
All
so much,
right.
Janine. I'll
I
see
will
you.
see you soon.
Yeah, I'll see you soon. Can't wait.
Thank you, my love.